Let's talk anime. Hello and welcome to Brandon's Discuss Anime, a Reckless Amoeba podcast. I am your host, Brandon Horvath, and with me are my co-hosts, Brandon Falinger.
I'm pretty sure I said last week I'm not going to be here. I don't know why I'm here right now. It's dark. My hands are like tied behind my back. Somebody please call the police. I'm in danger.
Dude, come on, don't you want to discuss anime?
Not this one.
Uh... So, also with us is Ryan Stokely.
I am not tied up, but there is a bag over my head and my balls are in a vice.
What?
You sound like you're in a way worse situation than I am. Then again, you weren't forced to watch this anime. So while yours may physically be in a vice, mine mentally are in a vice.
So guys, do you like pizza?
I would be a non-fat American if I did not enjoy pizza.
I wanted to talk about this last week, except I saw the article about 12 hours after we recorded. Domino's Japan has a tsundere pizza.
You mentioned this to me sometime after the recording, yes. Actually, no, I sent you a picture and you're like, fuck, I wanted to talk about that.
Yes, because I saw it, and then you sent me the picture. I believe it's a triple jalapeno, extra cheese, and pepperoni sausage pizza.
So I'm curious, where do you get to the sweetness after all of the spice?
Wait. It was pepperoni sausage. What was it?
Yeah, pepperoni sausage, I believe extra cheese, and triple jalapeno.
Ooh, I just thought of something.
Hmm?
So here's what I'm thinking, right? What if, because we're talking about like tsunderes here, right? So tsunderes are generally spicy on the outside, but extremely sweet on the inside, right? That's the idea.
Maybe it's a sweet Italian sausage?
It could be, but here's another idea they could have gone with. What if you mixed pineapple with it instead of like all those extra meats?
Pineapple jalapeno.
Pineapple jalapeno.
That
And
might
get
be
like
pretty
the
good.
sweetness of the pineapple, but the spiciness of the jalapeno.
One thing I want to try is bananas on pizza. Because that's like a big
Oh
thing.
man, wait. Did you guys ever watch Doug on
Yeah.
Nickelodeon?
Yeah.
Yes,
So
I
I've
remember
done-
that.
Do you remember the episode where they like put the bananas on pizza?
Due to the freak accident of...
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I've not put bananas on pizza itself, but I have done the whole dipping the banana in tomato sauce. Surprisingly, that's actually not as terrible as you would think.
Hmm.
Like, 'cause I remember at the end of the episode, he's sitting there writing in his journal, just like dipping it into the tomato sauce and then eating the banana. I'm like,
And
I want to try that as a small little child. And yeah, surprisingly, it's not as bad as you'd think. I don't do it like every day or anything now, but I used to and I remember enjoying it.
another pizza-related limited time offer in Japan, in the Tokai region of Japan, there is a pizza chain called Aoki's, if I'm pronouncing that correctly, that has a double layered 18 meat pizza.
Ooh.
Mm-hmm.
It is bottom crust, cheese, meat, top crust, cheese, meat.
Are they telling you what kind of meat?
According to this website that I'm reading, the top pizza contains beefsteak, hamburger patty, pork loin, Iberian bacon, diced bacon, sliced bacon, bacon bits, Bavarian sausage, pepperoni, mini wiener sausage, pork sausage, Italian sausage.
So it's like the meat lovers to the extreme in there, is what you're telling me.
Yes, and the bottom pizza is Wagyu beef rib, chicken,
Wagyu beef.
deluxe mincemeat, meat sauce, taco meat, and dry cured ham.
My stomach hurts.
It sounds like a heart attack waiting to happen with all the grease. I'll be honest.
And a medium pizza, and pizza is more expensive in Japan, but it's about $27.
I don't know, man. Is it worth it? Do I want to die on that hill?
Well, if you cut yourself half a slice, that's like eating a full slice because it's double layered.
I was gonna say, yeah, that's like double the number of pizza because of the fact that you're got a double layer going here.
Yeah.
So I'm done with my pizza news.
Do we want to talk about how the UK is really looking at loot boxes now and other microtransactions in games?
Cracking down on it?
Yeah, I just heard that they're cracking down or banning.
They haven't cracked down or banned yet. However, a report came in with like psychologists and doctors and all sorts of stuff looking at like just how it's done. To condense it down to basically one sentence, they're essentially saying we extremely recommend that you revise laws to fix this problem because it's a problem. Like apparently one guy on RuneScape of all things, and I stopped playing when this like was really a thing until I got back into it. I think back in 2015. I think I was on it for like a month. I want to say before I got bored again. Some guy spent like $22,000 on it. I want to say a ludicrous amount, and I don't remember exactly what the time span of doing that was, but like it's still 22,000 on a single game.
Holy crap!
And that was in the UK. That was, as far as I'm aware, it was in the UK, not in another country. But yeah, no, it's ridiculous. It's crazy.
Yeah, I think, and EA is like trying to like plead with them or making a case, but that's like all I heard.
Yeah, I forget if I mentioned this last week or not, but like the NBA 2K20 game trailer came out, and you want to know what it is?
A reskin?
Well, I mean that's obvious. Besides that,
No.
it's a gambling game that got I got your basketball in my gambling game. That's basically what it is. Because you're buying your card packs, which don't carry over from year to year. Which is basically your loot boxes.
Yep.
You've got pachinko in there. You've got slot machines. You got wheel spinning. Now, you can't directly spend money on some of that stuff, but the loot boxes you can. Well, let me point this out. You want to know what the rating for this is?
M.
No.
E?
Probably should be. It's E. And if you want to go with by like the Europeans scale, it is PEGI 3. So it's suitable for ages 3 and up. Even though in their own guidelines, simulated gambling is supposed to be teen in the ESRB.
That is so dumb. That is so dumb.
Oh, it gets better. So you want to know who's more or less in charge of the ESA? Who is, I guess, more or less like directly connected to the ESRB?
Who?
I believe it's the chairman of Activision.
I was going to say Activision.
If he's like directly related to the higher ups in Activision in some way, shape, or form, if he's not one of them himself. I forget the exact titles he has or had, but yeah, he stands to gain directly from this stuff. So of course he's not going to want you to change anything, regardless of the fact that you're going directly against your own rules that has been set up there. Fucking, what is it? Pokemon Red and Blue back in the day had slot machines in it, even though you A, couldn't spend money on it, and B, it was only for a short section of the game that it was necessary to go through, and you weren't even required to spend any of your in-game money on anything. But no, that's rated teen.
Wait. Pokemon Red Blue is teen.
I believe so.
Why? Because of the one
section that had simulated gambling in it.
Oh, I totally forgot about that.
Over in Celadon City.
Yeah, dude, I love that though. That shit was sick.
I know, but that's simulated gambling, so it's rated T for teen.
Wow.
Oh my god.
I'll be honest. If the UK and the EU itself jumps on this shit, there's got to be something that changes. All it really takes is one major country to be like, this shit's wrong. Then everyone will have to jump on it and act.
So, Fate Grand Order change because
Potentially, but I mean, I don't think it will because it's not. It depends on how the law is worded. It might have to, at least for like the countries that are doing this stuff. Now, most people that are of reasonable mind and are like know about this stuff would be like, it's a free to play game. They have to make money somehow. Sure.
But if you buy the game and then put it,
Yeah, if you're already paying your $60 for a premium game, which, as Orion put it for NBA 2K20, is just a fucking reskin and makes you restart.
Did you see? I think it was Madden though, but it literally the new game is literally a reskin.
They all are. They have been since like 2012, I want to say.
Yeah, but this is like legit. They in the stadium, it says this was like the Madden 2020 or 2019, I forget, but in the arena, it literally had an ad for the game prior. Like they forgot to just remove that.
Well, that's the thing too, right? With sports games, you could also get away with the fact that like you could get your premium advertiser space in those games and have it make some sense. You could sell ad time to companies to put in their ads in this game. You know, like during halftime or whatever, or playing on like one of the big screens in the background or whatever. You could legitimately do that and nobody would probably care. So long as you're not forcing them to stop playing the game. Then you have the shit, what was it? I believe it's Street Fighter V that was doing this, I want to say. I could be wrong, but I remember this is a thing that was going on where you were getting brand name equipment equipped to your characters that did in fact increase stats on those characters in a competitive fighting game.
Like Ryu has certain gloves?
Yes, from a brand.
Why?
For better grip, dude.
Yeah, have you not seen the commercials? They provide better grip. They hurt your enemies harder. Like, have you seen those stats?
Oh my god, my god.
You see why this angers people?
Yes.
Because it's ludicrous and out of nowhere. And that's not even counting the fact that, like, half the time they cut out content from the game that was originally supposed to be there and then sell it to you later as DLC.
Tony Hawk 5.
Tony Hawk 5 was a disaster in and of itself. Like, that had nothing to do with your DLC.
Yeah.
Wasn't, like, the update patch the entire game?
It may as well have been. I remember Tony Hawk 5. The literal problem with that was that the game was just a quick, oh man, we need to keep this license. Let's quick slap something together. Like the Fantastic Four movies have been. It's the same thing.
I think it would be less of a disappointment than if it wasn't called Tony Hawk 5. If it was...
Oh yeah, no, like you've given it a numbered title. Like the one prior to that, if I remember right, the last one they did before was the one that was supposed to be on the Wii, where you had a peripheral for a skateboard kind of thing, and you were supposed to like control it with that. And that didn't go over well because the motion controls were god awful.
Yeah.
But that was what Tony wanted. He thought, oh man, with all these, motion controls and stuff, we can totally do this now, right? And nobody told him no.
This should almost be its own separate podcast.
It really should. Because you'll just hear Brandon in the background just being like, why? Complain. Oh.
I'm waiting to be like, all right, well, what's the anime?
Yes!
Just like,
Well,
and
shit of
another
the day.
thing.
It's called loot boxes
And
again.
another thing.
So, let's open the loot box and find out what the anime is. Oh, today's anime is...
What's my guaranteed rare in this?
the fact that you won't have complaints.
That's a lie, and you know it.
Okay.
I know for a fact you have complaints.
The anime is, and I think we brought it up about 3 or 4 episodes ago, just in passing, but Sword Art Online.
Oh yeah, this show.
You've heard of it.
Yep, I think I might have watched an episode or something. But
Oh,
I know it's about kids that go in a virtual world, and if they die in there, they're dead in the real world. But I forget if like that's the only thing they can do is play that game or something. Yeah, no, that's basically. It sounds cool.
It is, and there are series that have done it much better.
because this is now a genre of anime being trapped inside a virtual world.
I believe it existed already,
Well,
but this is the one that really popularized it.
yeah, because there's that other one, Overlord.
Yep, that's one that did it really well, from what I understand.
Yeah, I watched.
It's kind of weird when like I guess like the first couple episodes where he's like trying to get with the one Avatar chick, but I think I watched like 4 or 5 episodes of that because it looked pretty cool.
Yeah.
But
But let's just say, after the 15th, or around the 15th episode, the title doesn't really make sense anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And that's one of my minor complaints. I know that a lot of people love this and will say, like, how dare you make fun of Sword Art Online? It's a masterpiece.
Mm-hmm.
That don't really consider the flaws in it. I'm overlooking some of the flaws that you may be looking harder at because this is just my first watching of it. Maybe when I go back and watch it again, I will find out other things, but you like this less than I do.
Yes, I do, in fact, like it less than you do. I don't hate it to the level I hate Casherin Sins. I'll give it that. Because at least in this, I can say that I can enjoy some moments of it. Like, you take the moments and you take them out of the series, you can enjoy them, right? Like, if you take them completely out of the context of things that would, ruin it, you can enjoy them. There are even episodes where I was enjoying it because I forgot for a moment how stupid some of the stuff that happens in the series is.
This actually started off as a novel due to some contest some guy entered, and it wound up being a little bit too long, and he couldn't publish it. But after his other novel won the contest a few years later, people encouraged him to re-edit that novel into the light novel format, which is, I think I said the light novel was something like 90% text, 10% manga, or something like that. And then it turned into an anime from July 2012 to December 2012, with the light novel still going strong after 10 years. And from what I understand, it may be close to its final arc now.
It may be. Last I knew of, and maybe they've fixed one of the major problems I have with this, at least the first season. Because we are only going off the first season here. We do not have the time to go through and watch all 3 seasons. Because the third one is currently airing, and there may or may not be like 1 or 2 more after this, because who knows at this point for us. Because I haven't read the manga. I didn't care to after watching the first season. And I still don't really care to after doing it again. But we are only going off this first season as a judge of this anime, which I think is more than fair. Because most people will be like, oh, cool, 2, 3 episodes, maybe even 4, and then they decide from there whether or not they'd want to continue.
Well, season 3 that he's saying is just picking up, but it could be a split season since it was 6 months since the other one ended, so
Okay, so it could be a split season. So,
or
it's still,
potentially season 4.
if it's a split season, then at least they're, from what I've seen so far and understand so far, keeping it somewhat consistent. Unlike this season,
That could have been 2 seasons.
should have been 2 seasons. I don't think they should have kept it the way they did. I think it was a very big mistake because it kind of ruins it, especially for me.
Because at the end of the 14th episode, they beat the game and
Quote unquote.
to leave.
So here's the thing, right? Just to give Orion a brief synopsis of like the first 14 episodes.
Mhm.
You get into the game, cool. The creator of the game shows up in this big cowl dungeon master kind of attire as a giant shadow creature, who basically gathers all the players in the center stadium, tells them, hey, cool, you know what? You guys can't log out of this thing. You'll never leave. So until you beat the game, everyone here is stuck here. And if you were to try and take off the VR headset that you're wearing, it will immediately fry your brain.
So we have 10,000 people in a VR coma, basically.
Yes, in a place called Sword Art Online. There's your title, the name of the game. We follow Kirito, who is at one point a beta tester, who starts claiming he is a beater, aka a combination of a beta tester and a cheater, because he's not sharing information, or so people say. He takes up that lovely moniker, and then maybe after like the second episode or so, it's kind of thrown in, like the idea of it is thrown in the trash.
Oh
like,
my god, that scene.
Within that one episode, it's either, I think it's the episode 2, I think.
Yes, it is.
Where they go up against the first boss. And it's like, cool, Kirito, our main character, is helping out. Awesome. Cool. It's great. We have like the leader of the raid running in to make the last attack to get like the bonus item for making the kill, which turns out he knows because he was also a beta tester at one point. He dies because obviously things change between the beta and the full release. So something he didn't expect to encounter gets him killed.
Oh, okay.
And then rather than taking, a healing item that Kirito's offering him to keep him from dying, he refuses for some reason.
And then Kirito just says, basically, F you guys, I'm playing by myself.
Yeah, F you guys, I'm a solo player. I'm a beater. Fuck you. I'll take on the evil thing for reasons and shit.
And then the third episode, he's helping people.
Yeah, third episode, he's back to helping people again and being normal. And it's like, what the fuck's happening now? What happened to that whole shtick you were going with?
And one of my problems is, in the first half, there are massive, massive time jumps.
Yep.
Like these 14 episodes take place over 2.5 years, while the other 11 episodes take place over 7 days.
I think it's less than that, technically. I think it's like 4 or 5. I don't think it's quite 7.
Oh yeah, because the event would happen at the end.
Yeah. Yeah, I want to say it's like 4 or 5.
Which I could see them, since the first 14 episodes were based on his original novel, he could have just inserted more things into there. Expanded out.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. As far as we know, maybe he expanded 1 or 2 side characters into what was an episode. Oh, by the way, did I mention that this is a harem anime?
No.
It turns into one.
Wait, a harem anime? Is that like what I think it means?
One guy, bunch of girls that are just obsessively in love with him for some reason.
Okay, that's what I thought.
Including his cousin.
Yeah, no, his cousin gets that. Yep.
Is cousin love in anime a thing?
Yes.
Oh.
It's a thing. It's more common than you think, but usually it's also sibling. Sibling love tends to be a thing too sometimes.
Oh yeah, there was cousin love in that one anime I watched years ago.
Mm-hmm. How do I want to? So By episode 4, we get our first introduction to the actual harem at this point, which is like, I think at that point she's like a 12-year-old girl. By the end of, like, by the time they get out, she's 14.
Because Kirito helped her with her pet dragon. Oh, he's perfect.
In every single way, shape, or form, I love him forever and always.
And then in episode 7, we have the blacksmith
Uh-huh.
protects her from a dragon. Oh, he's risking his life for me. I'm falling for him.
In one episode.
Half an episode.
Fair point. Fair point. Yes, it's really obnoxious how it happens, because it's like, it's one event, right?
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, everyone's just dropping over for him. There is the main love interest, which at least in that case, I will give them, they gave it a couple of episodes, even though it's over the course of 2 years, 2.5, I'm sorry. And they only occasionally mention that over that course they have like met up on the front lines trying to push their way through the 100 levels of this game. And I assume that's just like, oh, hey, cool, you're on the front, awesome. Here's some orders to like help out, maybe. Cool. Like, they don't explain much there. So if you're not getting this, Orion, much like the last time we did Fate, this series feels very rushed. Or at least the season does.
Yeah, and that's one of my complaints.
So it seemed like they were writing episodes like weekly.
It started off as a novel first, so
That's what I
don't
thought.
know if they just said, I don't care about this part, let's move on to the other part later.
Okay.
And we're just letting that float there as your start point or whatever.
Actually, the second light novel contained a few episodes from the first half, so they inserted more into it. And I believe
It clearly wasn't enough.
I believe a lot of these light novels got translated into English, and they're only about 220-ish pages each. So maybe that's about 200 pages of text. So I couldn't see too much being cut from only 200 pages of text.
I'm not saying it's cut. I'm saying he didn't expand enough on it. For at least for a season that's supposed to be this long. Kirito's running around doing a whole bunch of stuff. There's like a mystery episode, which is also a bonding point with the main female protagonist, Asuna, who on time and again proves that she's a really good badass at killing things that need to be killed.
And she's tsundere.
Yeah, you know what that means for Brandon over there.
Yay. Give me Asuna and a jalapeno pizza.
I mean, personally, I like the blacksmith better. But that's also because Asuna's kind of like pushy, let's say. Like to the point where she's threatened people to join her party at knife point.
I also like her because she's a badass chef who can make, like, her cooking skill got maxed out, so she can make Food Wars level dishes.
All she does is touch a knife to the thing and it turns into slices. She even admits that the game makes it way easier than it should be. So who knows if her cooking skill is this good outside of the game?
Well, in episode 24, she did make sandwiches.
I mean, lady made a sandwich. I can make a sandwich.
It may be one of the best sandwiches you ever ate. I don't know.
I don't know. I feel like Kirito's really biased considering he spent 2.5 years with her in the game.
Oh.
So we can't really go off of his reaction to that sandwich.
Oh, and in the game, they do get married.
And they have a kid.
Adopted kid.
That's like 14 and 15-year-olds. Yeah, gets a little weird.
Yes, with this little 8-year-old. Spoiler: she's an AI.
Yeah,
around.
She's an AI. Who here's the other fun one. Oh, this is great. So, apparently, right, this AI got locked out of the system and wasn't allowed to interfere the way she was, like, interface with the players the way she was supposed to, because, you know, Big Daddy GM man Akihiko was all like, nah, bro, if they want to commit suicide, let them, because this got to be real. She eventually manages to get out of the lockdown, but she still can't, like, interface with other players. She's just able to wander around in the world now.
Oh yeah.
And, you know, because apparently after Kirito and Asuna get married, they're the only ones in the entirety of this world of about 10,000 people, maybe down to 8,000 at this point, who
That
knows.
are happy.
They're the only ones that actually show happiness, true happiness, after 2 years. I'm sorry, you're telling me that, like, out of the, and I'm going to assume at this point it's probably like 7,000 to 8,000 people that are still alive.
Because people die in dungeon fights and whatnot.
Yeah, dungeon fights, boss battles, poison, players killing other players, and obviously when the first hit of, like, you're never getting out of here, the whole suicide thing that happens. I'm going to assume at this point it's probably like 7,000 to 8,000 players are alive. So out of the 7,000 to 8,000 players that are alive at this point, only 2 of them have shown any kind of, like, love or caring or growth as people that has attracted this AI that has seen nothing but, like, hate and misery otherwise. Just these 2.
That's bad.
Oh, and
it's better too, because we get into a dungeon fight. The AI gets, well, the AI has had amnesia because it doesn't remember. All of a sudden it does remember once it gets into this fight. It remembers everything, stops this, like, level whatever 99 something boss, and then is like, well, now the system knows I'm here and fucking with things that I shouldn't be, so it's gonna delete me. So Kirito, who is apparently boss man programmer extraordinaire, manages to separate data by hacking into a console made for admins the AI has opened for him to do.
And he turns his AI daughter into a necklace.
Into a gemstone before it was destroyed.
Like
now,
her soul?
Essentially,
Yes?
or at least as close as you can get to that with an AI.
So that she could be saved, because they show genuine love for this AI they just met a few days ago.
Genuine love for the AI they met a few days ago.
They have
Kirito
a family
having
bond.
god-level programming power against a program that is essentially made by a genius. He has Akihiko Kayaba, the guy that made the game, is, like, said multiple times to have been a genius when it comes to, like, programming and making this game world. But Kirito, 14-year-old boy himself, who at this point probably hasn't done any programming in at least 2 years, knows exactly how to separate stuff. And the only line of dialogue we ever get, at least in this season, there may be something later, who knows, about him and computers, is that at, like, the age of, I'm going to say 10, if I remember correctly, he was building his own computer, which, for anyone who's done that, can tell you that that is not the same as programming.
But it's like they share this family bond. The AI calls Kazuhu and Asuna mommy and daddy.
Yep.
Mommy, I'm scared. What's going on? I don't want to be deleted. I love you.
Uh-huh. Yeah, no,
It got deleted.
Oh, and one of the parts that I just loved.
That sounds sarcastic.
Kayaba, his entire reason for locking.
Oh, no. Before you get to this, hold on. Let me just roll this back a second. So, the way we beat the game, right, is because Kirito, god-level genius that he is, figures out that Kayaba has been impersonating a player this whole time, and has been here with everyone else. However, he has his own unique skill that stops him from, like, taking damage, like a defense skill, which Kirito also has his own skill, the dual wielding skill, which is unique to him because he has the fastest reaction time of any player.
Mhm.
To which I need to ask, why are there not more unique skills? Why is it not like in a game where you have a boss and it's basically a raid where you have a group of people fighting? Why would you not give out like a handful of unique skills to people that have different unique like abilities? In Kirito's case, it's reaction time. Maybe the player that does like the most damage or is able to get the highest strength rating or whatever is getting like a huge ability with like whatever weapon. Somebody that has like the best accuracy could get a like unique skill for the bow and arrow, you know?
But one thing that I was kind of wondering, but didn't really as a big complaint, but this is a virtual world. So the only quote unquote limit you may have is the limits of your own body. So what happens if you would try to hold a sword in each hand?
It's true. I mean, like, you should be able to do that, right? Like, that would make sense. But apparently, it needs to be a skill.
Either that or maybe you could, but you just be like flailing those swords around without any good precision or something.
I think that might be the case, probably, because they mentioned at one point, I believe, what was it? When Kirito was actually back in the real world in like episode 15 when he's fighting against Sugu, his cousin. That like man, the actual inbuilt systems helped me out a lot rather than like since he wasn't able to really do the normal stuff in real life compared to in there. So I think it might be like that. Like the inbuilt skills are actually giving you like a move set to work with rather than you just like flailing around and doing it yourself. But that also calls into question like for those people that have practice, kind of like what Sugu has been doing with Kendo, does that inherent skill that they have without using the system translate? And we can't really look at Sugu for that because we don't actually have any sword skills that Sword Art has when she gets involved.
So Kazuto fights Kayaba.
Yeah, because you know he's a
And he
genius and he figures out
dies.
that Kaiba's a guy. Yeah, and then he dies. Yeah, I mean
But
Asuna
then,
throws herself in front of him, even though you know she's been paralyzed and not able to not allowed to interact at all. She's supposed to not be able to move.
Mhm.
both die and somehow resurrect. I don't know why.
Here's my my thought on this. Right, there was a percentage listed there as they're like sitting above the world, just watching it collapse since with Kaiba's death as the quote unquote final boss.
Mm-hmm.
This also happens on like floor 75 or something. So there should have been like 25 more floors, period, until they got to the top.
But since Kayaba is the final boss, they sequence broke the game and took him out early.
Mm-hmm. Because Kirito's god level genius, they can figure stuff out. And he's the only one. Yeah, they're sitting up there, and I think the reason why they don't die immediately is because there is that countdown to like prepare for the kill, which is maybe a handful of minutes. Because we saw that even when like Kayaba was looking at his own thing, he had that too listed, like the percentage until final whatever. So I think it was literally because the game ended as that countdown for them was starting.
Oh.
They literally made it by seconds, otherwise their brains would have been fried.
And I know that we've been doing spoilers here. That's one of the main things we do, discussing anime, these spoilers, but the main thing that one of the main things that got me this.
Hold on. Let's also point out this is episode 14 where all this takes place, and the end of the episode is literally the end of an anime, or it feels like it, as Kirito wakes up. He's emaciated as fuck, gets out of his bed, and is like slowly walking toward the shining like exit of the hospital that he's been moved to.
I need to find Asuna.
Yep.
Need to find Asuna.
Yep. Those are literally the last like sentences he says multiple times.
But the main reason Kayaba trapped 10,000 people in a game with a floating castle. He's had a dream about it. He had this dream for so long, he honestly forgets the reason why.
He forgets the reason why he decided to let everyone die in here.
So Ryan, do you have questions?
Not really.
This is only the first half, by the way.
Yeah.
It gets worse.
This is 25 episodes.
This is the
Wait.
best part of it.
The whole
first
show is
14 episodes
25
are the best
episodes.
part.
Yep, the whole series is 25 episodes.
Season.
This is episode 14. So there's more after this.
Let's also point out that the credits are rolling over the animation of Kirito leaving the hospital.
Which usually happens in a final episode.
Yeah, it's the most final episode there ever was. It's more final than the last episode. I'll be honest.
Yes!
It's more final than the actual last episode of the season.
Okay, now let's say this here. I did kind of like the second half probably more than you did because I just I hated the villain so much.
Oh, he was made to be that way. He is literally, that is an archetype of villain. They are designed to be that piece of shit.
So there is this business guy who overtook the VR franchise.
Who has, let's also point out, he also has some connection to Kayaba Akihiko himself as well. Because he mentions how Kayaba was always lording stuff over him, like he didn't know anything at one point. So they have some kind of connection to each other, but we don't know what.
So this guy creates his own VR MMO, except people can leave. So
well, let me
the...
ask this, okay? Because here's the point where I start having a problem with this part, and maybe you haven't thought about this yourself because you were so invested in this at this point. Who the hell in the government or anywhere else would allow another one to exist after this whole Sword Art Online situation? Why would they continue to let something that could be potentially used in this most dangerous way to exist in the mass market?
Good point.
There's no... Any other government would shut that shit down immediately after the situation was resolved.
I never thought of it that way.
Now, granted, I will say this. So here's, maybe, they never mentioned this, but maybe this is the reason. There were still like 300 people that were still in a coma by the end of the whole Sword Art Online ending.
Because they got transferred to this new world, Alfheim.
Which is
MMO about a world of fairies.
It's also semi-designed after like Norse mythology to a degree as well, because they have Yggdrasil, which is the world tree. So there's a light level of that stuff in there, but not much. They just took terminology mostly.
The second MMO, like, can other people play it?
Yes. It's been sold to the mass market for literally during the time the SAO incident was happening. Like the last year of that, it's been on sale and people have been buying and playing it.
Okay.
Including Kirito's cousin, whom until I think the SAO incident believed they were siblings because Kirito's parents died and he was adopted into his aunt and uncle's family.
So his cousin is in love with him. Oh, I better not be in love with my cousin. That would just be weird for everybody. Oh, there's this guy in Alfheim called Kazuto. Oh,
no, it's Kirito.
Yep.
He uses the same name. Also, question. All right, I'm sorry, I'm going back to this, but like, you go into this like Kirito, or I guess Kazuto. Kazuto's his real name. Kirito's the username he uses. Kazuto goes in to Alfheim because, well, let's say this: Asuna never got out of her coma, and there are images that are very blurry of what could possibly be Asuna being in a cage in that world. So he goes to go into this world, and we go through the whole thing of like, okay, cool, enter your username. I'm just going to use the same one as last time. And then we get to the point of like, all right, cool, choose which race of fairy you are. Awesome, Spriggan, great. Your look is going to be randomized. It doesn't look random at all. It literally just looked like they changed his hairstyle and that was it.
Yeah.
You changed your hairstyle, you gave him elf ears, and now he's got some wings. Cool. That's it. That's your only difference.
It's just reskinned.
That's what it feels like, kind of, yeah.
And Asuna is a damsel in distress this arc, so her badassness has gone down to 0.
Oh, it's negatives, man. It's negatives. Anything you liked about Asuna in the first half is gone in this half.
And she is constantly borderline sexually assaulted by Sugo in the game. Who is going to get married to her even though she is in a coma in a week?
Yep.
Hmm.
And his whole plan then is like, after he's more or less mind broken her in the virtual world, with like Stockholm syndrome, he'll let her back into the real world.
He's threatening to rape her comatose body.
Yep. Oh, don't forget, we also get some tentacle scenes too.
Oh yeah, those tentacle dudes.
Oh, okay. Wait.
Tentacle slug people that can grow tentacles.
What a like. This is an anime, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
No, it's not a hentai. It is in fact an anime.
They actually use tentacles other than for the other purpose. Okay.
Yeah. So I would say I do like the second half less. Okay, the second half does have flaws, but I would be interested to know where this goes.
See, here's my biggest problem with all of this is that you've basically taken like your other main protagonist and stripped her to nothing. The only thing she does that was useful in any way was steal a card key, and then magically she knew Kirito was beneath her directly and dropped it for him to get.
Oh no, because she does hear Yui.
She hears Yui, or thinks she hears Yui. She can't be certain at that point, but she has no idea where she is.
Oh, and that's another thing that's interesting. Kirito keeps all his stats.
Oh yeah.
In the games.
Yeah, here's how Alfheim worked. They salvaged like a prior version of Sword Art and then built off of it and made it different from there. So that's how Alfheim got where it is now. However, any and all items other than apparently Yui's heart got corrupted and had to be erased out of his inventory.
Oh, wow.
All of his stats stayed the same.
Mm-hmm.
Which I believe Yui even says, because he's able to resurrect her in this new world in like an actual form rather than, you know, a stone on a chain. Because Kirito's God, again, just magically shit happens. It took reprogramming to turn her into the gem, but not to turn her back. He keeps his stats, but he does lose the dual wielding skill. Granted, apparently he can still do it when he gets another weapon, which makes me wonder why he didn't get another weapon anyway. Because he magically gets a lot of money in this world.
Oh, the huge bag of money. I'll admit, that was funny.
oh, it's funny, but it doesn't make sense. Like, where the fuck did you get that? When did you have the time?
Just the fact that he goes like, "Oh, hey, thanks for helping me out. Here's some money." Like this huge sack of money.
Well, then there's like this whole thing where he just like, there's the one point where like he comes in, where the different races are basically having what is essentially a giant all-out war on each other. Like they're all competing against each other, and it's PvP. So you're more than allowed to kill any other member of another race. So,
but the good thing is, if you die in Alfheim, you do not die in real life.
there is a death penalty, which they don't really explain what it is. They just say that one exists.
Yeah, I think like you're trapped in that like fireball form.
Well, no, that's the idea of like you have a timer before you can respawn. That's what that is. That's not the death penalty, or at least I don't think it would be.
Maybe
the way they talk, it sounds like you lose levels or something.
Yeah, that's what.
Or items or something like that. That's what it sounds like, but they never say specifically what it is. Because when Recon dies in the one episode, she's like, "Recon, all of your stuff and shit," and I'm like, does that mean he loses like some of it or what? We get to a point where like there's supposed to be this peace treaty or whatever that's going on, and we got to get there to interrupt this so that way the enemy that's coming to just attack all of these people outright can be stopped. And here we go, Kirito's got to be God-man again and attract more ladies, where he not only single-handedly beats the guy that... Now, granted, it was a good fight. I will gladly admit that there was a good fight there.
Yes.
I enjoyed
better than the two boss fights.
Yes. But he does beat the boss of the company single-handedly. Now, we also get to see him pull off his dual wielding again, which apparently doesn't exist in this world, but you can do it, I guess, and still be, effective.
If you have two hands, you can have two swords.
There you go. Which also leads to the question of why didn't he just buy a second sword? Because, like, he gives, like, at the end after beating them, he literally gives the two, like, leaders of each faction a shit ton of money to start up their raid and fight in the main center point of the world, at the World Tree. So I'm like, you had all this money. Why didn't you buy a second sword rather than stealing another person's sword mid-fight?
Oh, no, man, that wouldn't be logical.
No. We have to surprise the audience that he can still do this. Like, what the shit? Oh, and then let's also not forget the fact that, like, after he saves them, both of the leaders are women and are just, like, all over him again. So I'm assuming they're getting added to the harem at one point or another. Granted, we don't see them in real life like we do with Silica and Lisbeth, but I'm going to assume they get added. Because, like, grab his arm, put his arm between my boobs, yeah, And the other one's like, stop trying to seduce him and all this shit. And then his cousin, who's there with him, and he doesn't know it's his cousin, is like, oh, no, but he's my, I don't know what to call him,
So, that's one part I didn't mind as much, that he is a total chick magnet.
I find it annoying when that's not supposed to be the main draw of the series. Especially when it's like literally single. I wouldn't mind it if they developed the characters to make it make sense rather than he just did one thing and now it's like, God, he's the best thing on earth.
Okay, I can see that.
I'm not advocating for like erase the series, it's garbage. I'm advocating for give me more to help this work. Like I'm not advocating this is Casher and Sin's level of erase it shouldn't exist. I want more to help flesh it out.
Yeah, I would say expanding it a bit more might be better. Like if like we were mentioning earlier, make Alfheim its own 24 episode season.
Yeah.
Sword Art its own 24 episode season.
Yeah, and I mean, like, and my other problem with that is that, like, you probably would have to pick a better name because Sword Art barely touches on anything in Alfheim other than like a handful of lines and then one cameo appearance at the end. Well, two technically if you include Yui. So the connection there is like kind of threadbare. Honestly, it would have been cool if they just called it Nerve Gear or something like that. Because they're using a device that literally intercepts your nervous system to use to use the nervous system as your game input.
Okay.
Like, it would have been
So
cool had they just done that. That would have been a good one because it would work for everything.
Mm-hmm. And they literally could because it's a cartoon.
Yeah.
So it's not like it would cost them actual.
No, they
literally
they could have gone with that. They could have gone with what did they call it? Full dive. Full dive is what they called it. Which is like when you're actually using it, using the nerve gear, the act of using it is called full diving into a game. They could have called it that too, because it becomes a full body experience at that point. Oh, no, let me also point this out too. There's a lot of points where people are like, "Oh my god, that hurt." And then it's revealed that like, but no, there shouldn't be pain sensors in this. Like SAO, like the first episode, the one guy, Klein, he gets hit in the balls constantly, and it's like, yeah, you don't feel that, do you? Yeah, you're right, that doesn't hurt. Which makes me be like, why does everyone act like shit hurts? There's no pain.
And even though in the final boss battle between Sugo, in the end, somehow Kirito locks him out of his admin abilities so that he could summon the strongest weapon in the game that Sugo wanted for himself, only to completely annihilate Sugo.
Well, I mean, we're kind of ignoring the part where Kirito, like, with a 3-man team, takes on a raid that was never meant to be beaten ever.
It was made to not be beaten, so
yes,
it would just murder
because the door at the other end is locked and literally is locked via the admins. Like, you're not supposed to get in.
Wow.
And there's like 300, 400, maybe more enemy troops.
I mean, yes,
you at once.
That alliance that he helped save and give money to came in and helped him at one point, right? But like, I'm still sitting there like, this is still like only two. And in the beginning, they kind of established, oh, well, it has to be like, maybe if all of them work together, they can do that. But no, because, divide and conquer, the whole idea of like, these guys are having infighting between themselves, it's never going to happen where you get all of them to ally at once and get in there.
Mm-hmm.
Also, we never meet any other of the race that Kirito is, like the elf race there.
The Spriggans.
Or the Undines, at least until like the last episode where we find out that I think Asuna was one because she's in blue. But like, you don't even meet half of them. You only meet, I think, 3. You meet like the green ones, the red ones, the red ones of the salamanders, and I think, no, that's it. I think it's literally just the green ones and the salamanders.
No,
the Sylvans, that's what they are.
The Kate Seath you meet.
The Kate Seath, right? Okay, yes, the 3. 3 out of what I think was like 6.
9.
There's 9 races. All right, fine. We meet a third of the races.
Maybe that gets expanded on in some of the video games, because there are a few video games.
Yeah, it may. But like, most anime video games tend to just straight up follow the plot of the anime and maybe throw in some side stuff.
Yeah.
Most of them do not usually make their own story, because it wouldn't make sense in the canon.
And then when Kirito beats Sugo in the
King Oberon. Oh, also, let me also make sure to point this out. So those 300 from SAO that have been like missing, apparently they're being used for mental experiments to sell off technology that would more or less become like brainwashing. Because Sugo does threaten to rewrite Asuna's memories.
Yeah, Sugo is an enormous piece of crap.
Oh yeah. He's going to sell it off to America though, because America's really interested in that technology.
For some reason.
Clearly, for some reason. Could have been anyone else, but not America.
Oh, and this
Which I don't care about. It's an offhand line.
and this takes place in like 2024-ish.
I think it's 2025 by the time we get to Alfheim, so 2023, 2022 when it's Sword Art.
So Sugo fights Kazuto in the real world and still manages to nearly get killed.
Gravity Magic, which is coming out in the next update. You can't move. Meanwhile, I'm just gonna like sniff her hair, chain her up, sniff the hair, because I have this big fetish for the hair sniffing thing. Apparently,
What?
yeah,
Her hair is apparently cocaine.
yes, Sugo has like this obsession with sniffing Asuna's hair to the point where like he literally brought in a scanner of some kind into her like hospital room and like I guess extracted the essence of the smell so he could program it into the game.
Oh, it took so long to get your hair to smell like it does in the real world.
You have no idea what a hassle it was to get that scanner or whatever machinery it was into your hospital room.
And like the post-fight in the parking lot, that was shitty.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, what it seems like, because what Kirito does in the end of like the Alfheim part of the season is like, cool, I'm gonna raise up your pain receptors. So he puts the setting to max, which is something that Sogo was gonna do to him, which he says is like once we get past level 8, with 10 I think as being the max, it's gonna start affecting your physical body. Which when Kirito, let's also point out the fact that Kirito outright kills 3 people at least in this series. Like in SAO, he kills 3 people.
Yeah. They were trying to hurt Asuna.
Uh-huh. He does try. He would normally have probably killed Sugo had this been SAO, but it's not. However, he did more or less kind of maim the dude, who is apparently just waiting for him as Kirito's running toward Asuna's hospital room to meet her after, getting her out of Alfheim.
I want to see you as the first person when I wake up.
Yeah, there's Sugo just waiting there for him, who, apparently doesn't look too worse for wear. He has kind of a fucked up eye where that weapon he summoned, Excalibur, pierced him in the game. So his eye's a little fucked up, but other than that, he seems pretty good. Like, to the point where, like, his depth perception, it gets off when he tries to stab Kirito at one point. But, then Kirito's there like, yeah, I'm gonna smash your face into... Like, Kirito eventually gets the upper hand in that, like, kind of shitty fight, punches him, and is ready to, like, cut his throat. And I'm just like, you've done this 3 times already. Go ahead. What's the difference here than in there? Besides the fact that now you can technically be, like, brought to court now, for sure.
Oh, and let's just bring up the fact that Kayaba, his essence is...
That's right, yeah, this bullshit. Okay.
His essence is somehow now in Alfheim and tells Kirito, hey, you can fight this gravity magic. I'm going to give you the power to do it.
Oh man, you denied the system before. Come on, where's your human spirit?
And then he gives Kirito this world scene, which we find out in the final episode. Now anybody could make their own VR MMO.
Yeah. But essentially, it's like, cool, here's the source code to build a VR MMO. I'm gonna just put it out in the world so everyone can make their own.
I'm kind of guessing that's where it goes from here.
It does. I believe the
Mhm.
next one that shows up is Gun Gale Online.
Yeah.
Um,
So-
which I think I want to say is the main one they stick with. They don't jump between two in the next season, I want to say.
So less than savory people are making their own MMOs
Potentially.
for bad reasons. Oh, we've got to stop them. Let's log in.
I have no idea if that's the case, but sure.
Yeah.
Let's log in and fight them and then get some more harem members.
And Asuna will be there to go all yandere on them.
Well, who knows if she's still a badass in those? I haven't watched it. She might just be another, captured princess again at some point.
Oh, but you showed me the scene of Sword Art Abridged where she's super yandere.
Oh, it's great. Sword Art Bridge is great. It's part of the reason why it made this more enjoyable to watch than it was the first time. Because I'm just like the one big black guy that's in there is just called Tiffany in that series.
Oh,
It's fucking great.
Tiffany, that sounds tough. It shouldn't. It's a girl's name.
Shouldn't. It's a girl's name.
And
Great.
his actual name's like Albert or something.
Egil. Literally, it's just like the first letter of his name that he changed, like in the game versus in real life. Like it's like Egil with an E in the game, and then it's like Egil with an A outside the game.
So
just call him Old Gil, man.
all in all, I would say for me, this is a 7.5. Granted, there are problems, but maybe if I would watch it again, I'd be like, oh yeah, why is this happening? This doesn't make sense. But this has invested me enough that I am curious what happens in future seasons.
I'm at a 5 personally. I'm not looking to keep going with this. The first season was more than enough to tell me exactly where this feels like it's gonna go. There's plenty of problems that I feel like there are easier ways to fix, and even my suggestions aren't going to be the perfect ones, but I feel like there's more that could have been done to this to make it better.
Oh, but one thing we do agree that is a 10 out of 10, the music.
Oh, yeah. The music and the animation are both really good. I'm not even like don't get me wrong. There's no Sakuga in here really. And Sakuga's like that really pretty animation that you get to see. We get decent animation. I wouldn't put it quite to Sakuga levels. It's better than some of the One Punch Man stuff we saw for season 2. But yeah, no, there's some good stuff in here. The music is fucking great. I love the music. It's used really well. It's not overused in any way. It feels like it fits and it works. Animation's good. The voice acting's pretty good. I have no problems with that. It comes down to me, a lot of it, just the story and the plot holes, and maybe, and I don't know, maybe this is also just some irritation from a personal standpoint with it, rather than just an overall opinion of people. But yeah, I feel like there's problems with the story that should be fixed. And a lot of it would come down to just expand out each of these into their own season, each of the worlds.
Yeah, I tend to agree with you on that. But I just feel with the source novel, maybe he couldn't expand more in his
That
opinion.
shouldn't matter though. what they could have done is like, cool, we want to adapt this, but we want to make this part of season and this part of season. Would you be willing to give us some advice on what we should do or where we should take the characters, right? Like, obviously, we need to go from like Asuna being just like this one-off character in the first episode to being like Kirito's love interest by episode 8 or 9.
And from what I understand, episodes, I think 3, 4, 5, and 6 were some from the second light novel, which means those were added on. So the novel went from 2 to 7, where he's still seeing Asuna.
Yeah, like we had those one-off episodes too, where it was like the whole the mystery thing, where it was like players getting killed in a safe zone, right? That was a 2-parter. Put in more stuff like that. That helps both expand Asuna's interest in Kirito and vice versa, as well as giving us some more content that, while not super important to see, it helps with the characters being fleshed out.
And
same thing with the fishing episode.
Oh, the fishing guy. Best side character.
Just freeze frame on his face, and when it's like Kirito tells him, hey, look, I got somebody that might be able to cook your fish. Like, that face is beautiful.
And apparently, Asuna somehow managed to recreate the flavor of soy sauce in SAO.
Like, that alone is enough to tell me that, yeah, she's got some at least decent cooking skills outside of the game if she was able to do that much, because she was doing it by taste. Since soy didn't exist in the game and she was going by taste by the way she was talking.
So, Ryan, would you have... I know you have many recommendations at this point. Oh, crap.
It's
I
like
forgot to mention in the beginning, happy 50th episode, everybody.
Oh, yeah, that's a thing, right?
happy. What number episode?
This is the 50th episode of Brandon's Discuss Anime.
Oh,
Official
wow.
one, at least.
I thought you guys said way more.
I think this is the 55th recorded episode, but we lost 2 beginning due to Andrew dropping out and 3 due to my computer crashing. So,
Yeah, I think I've got like, give me like 1 second. I can tell you for sure, because like 90, I think I've actually made title cards for all of them, and then we just lost some of the recordings. This is officially 54. At least that I've done stuff for.
but the official 50th episode.
This is the official 50th episode that has been posted. That has not like magically died for some reason or another.
So I know that you have like nearly 30 good suggestions by now, Ryan, but if you would ever have time, would you check out the first episode of this again, or continue to watch more, since you said you watched a few of this already?
Yeah, I'd revisit it.
Okay, I admit there are problems. I'm overlooking them just to see where the story goes.
Well, it's that,
Yeah.
and then there are the other ones that have done this better too, like Orion mentioned with Overlord. There was a comedy version, I believe, of this one that's called like That Time I Got Reincarnated as a Slime. There are a bunch that have like taken this concept and rolled with it better, from what I've heard.
I'm not too sure how similar Excel World is to Sword Art, but it's made by the same original writer.
I couldn't speak to it because I don't know for certain.
Maybe we'll cover that in a year or so.
Perhaps.
But I believe that wraps up this episode. So, join us next time for a tournament that might destroy the world.
I like world destruction.
Ooh, all 12 of them. I guess.
Yay! Destruction!
Yay. So, later.
Planetary chess is fun.
See you guys.
Bye.